The architect's perspective on a nation's value in the heart of a thriving metropolis. A monumental courthouse stood as a beacon of the nation's achievements. With its towering columns, grand facades, and intricate details, it was designed to reflect the strength and progress of the country. The building's marble floors, polished to perfection, and soaring atrium symbolized prosperity and order. To the city's officials, it was the embodiment of justice, of a nation flourishing in its governance. Yet for one architect, the courthouse would come to represent a pivotal moment in his life, one that changed his entire outlook on what it meant to design for a country. The courtroom incident on the day of the courthouse's grand opening. A trial was taking place. It was the first time the building was being used for its intended purpose. The defendant, a man of humble origins, stood accused of dishonoring his country. His crime? Proclaiming that the nation held no more value than a worn-out shoe. The architect, having worked tirelessly on the building, was invited to observe the trial. City officials, eager to see the new courthouse in use, wanted the architect to witness his work's debut. As he sat in the courtroom, the architect couldn't help but listen closely to the unfolding drama. The judge addressed the defendant, reading off a list of instances where the accused had made his controversial claim, at public rallies, in crowded work lines, and even at memorials dedicated to the country's war heroes. The defendant, rather than denying his words, confirmed them with a calm demeanor. He admitted to having spoken those words in various public places, including in front of statues of national heroes and at the graves of fallen soldiers. His defiance was quiet but firm, transforming the architect's practice. As weeks passed, the architect began to reimagine his approach to design. No longer focused on monumental structures, he started working on affordable housing projects that were simple yet elegant, prioritizing functionality, sustainability, and comfort. He chose cost-effective materials that would allow him to create homes for families who had long been excluded from the city's prosperity. Rather than designing grand monuments, the architect now envisioned parks and green spaces where children could play, markets where families could buy affordable food, and community centers where neighbors could gather. He began to understand the potential for his work to improve the quality of life for the city's less fortunate, a stark contrast to the towering structures he had previously designed to honor the past. One of his first projects in this new direction was a housing complex designed to provide affordable homes for low-income families. It was a practical design, not extravagant, with shared community spaces that encouraged neighborly interaction. Green areas were included where children could play, and communal gardens where families could grow their own food. The architect found satisfaction in knowing that his work was improving the lives of those who lived in the building. The legacy of the courtroom incident, the defendant's words in the courthouse, continued to resonate in the architect's mind. Because I was barefoot. This simple yet profound statement had sparked a transformation in his understanding of his profession. He had previously focused on creating monuments to the past, but now he recognized that his true responsibility was to the people living in the present. His designs could no longer be about showcasing national pride or grandeur. They had to focus on improving the lives of those who needed it most. His future became clearer. His designs would no longer be confined to grand, empty spaces. Instead, he envisioned a city that addressed the needs of its citizens, one that prioritized affordable housing, accessible green spaces, and community centers. His work would be grounded in the practical realities of daily life, rather than abstract representations of past glory. A new purpose years later, as the architect reflected on his career, he marveled at how much he had changed. The courthouse that had once symbolized national pride had opened his eyes to the true purpose of architecture. It had taken the words of a humble man, the defendant, to help him understand that architecture's true value was not in its grandeur, but in its ability to meet the basic needs of the people it was meant to serve. He continued to work on projects that aligned with his new perspective. He designed public spaces where people could come together, affordable housing, where families could live with dignity, and community gardens, where people could reconnect with the land and each other. His work no longer served as a monument to national pride, but to human dignity. The architect had learned that the measure of a nation was not in its monuments, but in how it cared for its people. He had come to understand that his true purpose was not to create a physical legacy, but to contribute to a society where every person, regardless of their background or circumstances, could live with respect and opportunity.